All right. Well, good evening, everyone who's out there right now. My name's Sean Erriger. I blog at Stuck on Social Work at WordPress.com. I tweet about social work, suicide prevention, technology, bunch of stuff. So I'm glad to be speaking with Jonathan about, and anybody else will join. Hopefully, some more folks will join in about the
Society for Social Work and Research conference that was happening in DC last week. It was the 20th annual Society for Social Work and Research conference, and it was held at the Renaissance Hotel in DC, which is absolutely beautiful. They have these breakout rooms. And yes, April, it's true. Next year it will be legit for the conference to drink. But lots of people were doing that on behalf of the conference this year. The Renaissance Hotel is beautiful. It had all these bookshelves, little bookshelf nooks that looks like you were in a library. They were beautiful.
Cool. So I don't get out much. I don't get out much to conferences, but what I do like to do is follow conferences on Twitter. So I saw a bunch of you that I'm already friends with were there. Actually, you guys were talking this up a while ago, and it was hashtag SSWR
2016. That's right.
I believe. Yeah. So, so I'm really interested in tweeting from conferences, and let me place just going to go ahead and place my blog post about tweeting from conferences over here, which includes Jonathan's episode of Social Work Podcast. And that features which conference were you at?
That was AAS 14. So that was American Association of Suicidology 14. And I posted it during AAS 15
Right.
Yes, because
I think there was
I'm a production machine. Just give me a bunch of swear words and some, fuckity fucks, and I was just
we're recording now.
I was just trying to find my clean tag on iTunes there. So yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
And can I just say, so Sean, one of the great things about you in general, and by the way, I gave you a little hat tip on the most recent episode with Julie Hanks. I don't know if you caught that reference.
Cool. I didn't get a chance to listen to it.
Oh, the truth comes out. Ouch. Okay.
But I will definitely listen to it. The unfortunate thing, I think I shared with you this before, but unfortunately, for some reason, my employer blocks your podcast, which I have to do something about.
That's just wrong.
And I don't have Wi-Fi at work, and that's where mainly I do most of my podcast listening. Right. When I'm kind of doing like grunt work, filing, all that good stuff. So, but anyway, yes.
Well,
sorry to interrupt.
No, that's okay. So, so one of the things that's great about you, Sean, is that you tweet. Wait a minute. April, you have a Pandora channel for my podcasts? Oh my God. Wow.
Because I care.
Wow. I need to do that.
Because Doc Foreman is that awesome.
Dude, that is awesome. Man. Awesome. So what I was going to say, I'm going to finish this off. So Sean, what's great about you is that you, when the Simpler stats came out for SWIR 2016. Did you register the hashtag, by the way?
I did. I registered the hashtag.
Yeah. So Sean registered the hashtag so that Simpler could track it, which is great because I was too caught up in the conference doing presentations and recording podcast interviews and stuff like that to even think about it. So when the Simpler stats came out for the full conference, top influencers included the American Association of Social Work and Social Welfare. That's the honorific organization that organized this whole Grand Challenge thing. And Sean, who wasn't even at the conference. So the top influencers were the conference organizer and Sean, which is, to me, it's amazing. It means that you don't have to attend a conference to influence social media about a topic. And that's something that you do all the time, Sean. It's very impressive.
Well, thank you. I think that speaks to the power of social media, just in terms of how you can communicate things instantaneously. And it's just what excites me is when I'm following a conference and you see a poster or something that just snags you, or a quote. It's just like you have to. I just feel the need to elevate it, and I think it's just great. It's just great because people spend a lot of time and effort working on that research and that poster and all that good stuff. So, I think it's really great to do that.
No, and it's wonderful. And the other thing that I'll say is that you, when you tweet things out, you don't just like grab a screenshot and say, "Oh, I'm just gonna screenshot this out and say, oh, this is happening." You actually have commentary. You engage other communities in it. So if there's something that's happening that connects with one of the other groups that you're, hashtag HCLDR, right? Was that healthcare leaders, leadership, or PT chat, or any of those? If you see something, you'll say, oh, wait, here is a moment that I can connect these two groups, or I can say, hey, this is happening and somebody's talking about something that you are interested in, that you wouldn't know about, but because I am the great connector, I am going to connect these people.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. And, look, and April, April said, Sean is a great connector, commentator, and helps people with their mission. Absolutely true. Absolutely true.
Yes. Yeah. So, what I was saying also, and it was included in that post too, and along with your podcast, was this really great blog post about a presentation given by Dr. Bernadette Keefe. She's a medical doctor who's on one of the co-moderators for the healthcare leadership chat. Mm-hmm. And what she talks about is how Twitter can and social media can potentially be a staircase that leads you to the conference.
That's great.
And that's kind of how I view it. Is like it's just I can't be there. Mm-hmm. I couldn't be in Washington D.C. I'd love to be there. I'd love to go to all the social work conferences. I would have loved to go on. The other one that I really missed was the social work education one.
CSWE.
The CSWE. Yeah. I'm hoping to make that next year. Where's that? In Atlanta, I think in the fall.
Yep, it's in Atlanta.
Because I believe the topic was interdisciplinary stuff, which I'm just like really into. So I just think it's great that it leads you to it can bring you right to the conference as what's the next best thing, to try to see it on Twitter. The next best thing after that is blabbing about it. The conference with just with somebody who's been there.
That's right.
Yeah. So
that's right.
So But yeah, so I mean that's the power of social media, at conferences. I think
It
so.
is. So should we talk about the conference?
Yeah, we should. We probably should. Yeah. So I know that it was about the goal was to talk about. Well, it was interesting. So I guess I wanted some clarification actually on this from you, in terms of the Society for Social Work and Research has their annual conference. Do they always cover the grand challenges, or is that new?
No. Okay. So here is the deal. Back in 1900, a mathematician.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm laughing. That's right, April. 1900. So back in 1900, there was a mathematician that said there are 100 math problems that we as a field have not yet been able to solve. And this is a grand challenge for mathematics as a field to solve these problems. If we're able to solve these problems, then this opens up huge venues for us to do other things. What those are, I don't know because I'm not a mathematician. So fast forward to 2014, so 114 years later, there have been many, many grand challenges. The Gates Foundation, Obama in the White House, the field of engineering, et cetera, et cetera. The American Association of Social Work and Social Welfare, Rick Barth, who's the dean, he's the president of the organization, but he's also the dean of University of Maryland, Baltimore School of Social Work. I guess he was having a meeting with Eddie Uhuru, who is another dean, and somebody else, and they were talking about April. Okay, April, you have to stop because I am laughing at your comments, and it just looks weird. No, don't stop. Never stop. So they were. So they were having this conversation. They're like, you know what? Social work does amazing things, but social work isn't really recognized by lots of other disciplines as having a legitimate seat at the table when it comes to research, right? Social workers do things, they care about stuff, but when it comes to research, they don't really have a seat at the table. John Brecky from University of USC, Southern California, he wrote an editorial in Social Work in 2012, basically saying, look, we've got to hop up. We have got to do something. And so the decision was, you know what we're going to do? We are going to have this grand challenge. We are going to make sure that we're going to make sure. Sorry, my SPSM Facebook Twitter feed was totally going like ding 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 crazy. So, Sean, was it something I said? Okay, so anyway, I'm just going to finish this. So, as Rick Barth said, they came up with this idea of grand challenges, and they took submissions from social workers, folks all around the world, about what should the grand challenges for social work be. And I know, right, April? Don't leave me. So they ended up coming up with 12. And the 12 were organized into 3 groups. And so this is the first time that the grand challenges, as the 12 grand challenges, were really talked about in any formal way at a major conference. Now, all 12 initiatives, or rather all 12 categories, have papers, white papers, working papers, at least one. And so it's good to have you back, man.
Yeah, I got lost there for a second.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah. How was that other blab you joined? Because I was clearly rambling.
No, it was fine. I'm sorry that
It's totally fine.
I had enough of this guy.
Was rambling about these grand challenges. So, okay, so here are the 12 grand challenges. They're organized into 3 categories. The first one is individual and family well-being. The first one is ensure healthy development for all youth. The second one, close the health gap. 3, stop family violence. 4, advance long and productive lives. The second category is stronger social fabric. And there are 4 grand challenges within this. The first is eradicate social isolation. The second is end homelessness. The third is create social responses to a changing environment. The fourth is harness technology for social good. There are 2 papers written on that topic, and I am co-author on one of them, so I can talk more in depth about that if you'd like. The third category is called just society. Promote smart decarceration, build financial capability for all. Number 3, reduce extreme economic inequality. And 4th, achieve equal opportunity and justice. Okay. April, sorry I'm going so fast. I wanted to just cover all of them. So that we can talk more in detail about any of the ones that you wanted to. What would you like to hear more about? You want to hear more about the harnessing the technology for social good? Do you want to hear more about what the conference was like in general, like what it's like to go to an academic research conference in social work?
Yeah, I think. That was. My main interest is, I'm interested in a ton of stuff. I could probably be interested in all the categories in some way, shape, or form. What I'm really interested in is that whole idea, and I got into a good engagement with Paul. I forget his last name. Paul Sacco. Is that how you pronounce it?
I think it's Paul Sacco. Yeah. He's also at University of Maryland, Baltimore. I've never actually met him in person.
It was
April.
So what was interesting was he tweeted something out about including CSWE and NASW in this, and then I retweeted. I said, okay, well, how about a mega conference, because he was talking about kind of connecting the education to the direct practice to the research, and that's kind of like what I'm really interested in. That mainly that triangle about you got the research happening at the university here. How does that connect to what I'm doing here? And I think that's where maybe social work gets a little tripped up. Maybe, because you talked a little bit about social work not really having a seat at the table. I think you often think direct practice. You don't think research necessarily.
Well, right. I mean, if we look at it statistically, like there are 100 million social workers. I mean, that's hyperbole, but so there are, maybe 800,000 social workers out there, and I think 650,000 of them are identified as direct practice social workers. And those, you don't need a PhD. You don't need a research degree to be a practicing social work. The master's is the terminal practice degree. And then you get your LCSW, you can be an independent practitioner. But I think the stats are that it's like 1 in 100 master's level social workers go on to get a PhD. And then of those, really only a handful do serious full-time research, in part because social work is not a profession that trains researchers primarily, right? We train practitioners. So if you're like me, I do research, and I also am 100% dedicated to my students and making sure that the next generation of social workers is out there doing the best they can. So that's why I do the podcast and stuff like that. But if I were in psychology or another profession and I had the PhD and I was in an academic setting, it would be more likely that I would be doing more research and what you would consider sort of more narrow research, because that's just what you have to do in psychology. And so social work often doesn't have a place at the table with some of these other professions, in part because we do mostly practice. But there are those of us that do research, and so we do need to get back to thinking about ourselves as
April.
Thanks, April. I did say do. We need to get back to the garden,
right,
as Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young once said. So.
Right, and I think also, I mean, that's just mainly why I wanted to. You know, I shared just a little blurb about the grand challenges on my own blog, and I just kind of also wanted to elevate the conversation, because I just think it has such value, knowing that social workers are doing research, and it's really important stuff, and it's meeting these, like when you look at the list, and when you actually look at the list of grand challenges, it's like, wow, this is like important stuff. Yeah.
Way to find the word there.
Right.
Way to find. Yeah. Okay. It is. No, it's very important.
Grand stuff.
No, it is grand.
No. But you know, I think that you know, you kind of, that in and of itself almost, you know, the fact that I couldn't find the word. I was trying to think of something bigger than that. I mean, because it is something bigger than that that's happening in social work. It's you know, we look at not only the person, but what else is going on with the person, and try to solve it kind of systemically. So I think if anybody's going to meet that list, it's going to be social workers. Just saying. Right. With partnerships with psychologists like Doc Foreman. And,
yeah. Yes. Well, so let me jump in here with a little bit of information about the conference. So April asked for the legit coolest thing that happened. Man, there were a lot of cool things that happened. I'll just tell you personally, one of the funniest things. Yeah, I did get a haircut, but not there. That was yesterday. One of the funniest things that happened to me. So maybe this doesn't qualify as cool, but I'm standing like I'm getting a plate of food at a reception, and somebody comes up behind me and says, I have an idea for the podcast. And I turn around, and of course, I didn't know this person. I'd never seen this person before in my life. Obviously, she knew who I was. So, I mean, what else do you say? I looked at her very seriously. I was like, okay, what do you got? And so that was kind of fun. Then we had a nice conversation. Yeah, they did. They did. Sorry, April. There was no flashing. All clothes were kept on. Yeah, that would have been totally inappropriate. So,
you know what I was thinking kind of along those lines was kind of sharing. Were you done? I'm sorry. Allow me to cut
just
you
told
off.
This silly little story about me personally. You know, because what's going on is I'm trying to think. I'm like, okay, what was one of the legit coolest things that happened at the conference? I mean, you know, McKeon playing Cards Against Humanities is totally cool, in part because we know who he is. Last year at SWR, one of the things that happened that for me was totally cool was there's this guy, Bruce Thayer. He used to be the dean of Florida State University. He wrote a piece, I don't know, at this point, maybe 15 years ago, kind of a point counterpoint about is theory useful in social work practice? And so he wrote the point. He said no, and then somebody else wrote yeah. So these two point counterpoint articles have been kind of a hallmark of social work education for doctoral students and social workers ever since. Bruce Thayer has very strong opinions. He's also the editor of Social Work and Research, the journal research on social work practice. And it's the top tier journal for research in social work. So this guy's a serious player. Well, last year at the conference was in New Orleans, and we were visiting the new School of Social Work at Tulane. Mm-hmm. Beautiful building, absolutely beautiful. If you are ever down in New Orleans and you want to see a beautiful school, go check out Tulane School of Social Work. Okay. They have a meditation room.
Cool.
And so there was this moment where Bruce and I were on a tour of the school, mm-hmm. and we're in there, and it's very calm and soothing. We both take our shoes off and we sit down and we start meditating. And somebody snapped a picture. This is totally not what you think of when you think of Bruce Thayer. You do not think of him sitting and meditating. Now, I'm not saying he doesn't, but that was a very cool moment from last year's conference. Mm. So anyway, I'll let you talk for a second. I'm going to try and think about something else that was legit cool that folks who are watching this blab at some other time in the future might be particularly interested in.
So I was thinking about what happened was that in terms of tweeting and exchanging things with people. So because April's here, this is SPSM, Suicide Prevention on Social Media worthy. It was the person it was Rebecca. I have the email. Rebecca L. Sanford. She did some research on how inadequate suicide prevention, how that social work wasn't involved enough in suicide prevention, social work research. And I tweeted at her, and I said, I need that. It was a poster. I said, I need that poster. I need to share that on my blog. Literally within 5 minutes, she emailed it to me.
Wow. Yeah. That's fantastic.
I was just like, and a similar thing happened. I blogged about somebody else's research on stigma. I can't remember her name though, at CSWE, but mm-hmm. But yeah, that was the coolest thing though. I was just like, I need that. And she said, and it was Julie, oh my gosh.
Julie Hanks?
No, not Julie Hanks. I'm blanking on that. Never mind. Sorry. No, I don't know why that popped into my head.
That's okay, man.
No, but what was cool was Julie Sorrell. That's why I'm blanking on her last name. She tweeted because she was in that. She tweeted back. She said, "I think that could be arranged," and it was already in my email before that fantastic. Happened. So yeah, that was really cool. Mm-hmm. So that was my kind of highlight, I think, and that's what I like to do is when I see something like that, tweet it out and share it. And in particular, I'm really interested in suicide prevention and social work and all that good stuff, and
right
as you are. So
yeah.
Did you think mm-hmm. of your moment, and then maybe we can open up some seats if anybody. Well, I'm afraid to have it keep recording and put April on. I don't know.
she's really uncomfortable in front of the camera.
Okay. I think that's best. Right.
Yeah.
Or Melanie. Melonie's here. That's awesome. So I'd like to actually.
Yeah. No. We can. So, why don't we open it up?
If she wants.
Yeah. So Melanie. Why don't we? In fact, we could get Melanie in, and Melanie, you can talk. You and I can talk a little bit about the grand challenges and some of the energy that was at the conference, and then April, if you want to join, we can open up a seat. You can, if you feel like, if you feel like you can, if there's something you want to say, yeah. Yes, I just blew through the list, April. It's true. I was going very quickly. I wanted to start it and get through it. That's what she said. So, why don't we get Melanie?
If she wants. No pressure.
Yeah, I'll arm wrestle you, April. All right. Oh. Look at Melanie. She's pulsating.
Can you hear me? I wasn't, I was just coming to hang out. So it's maybe chaotic here. I don't know.
Yeah. Hey, Melanie, we can hear you just great.
All right. Hey.
Hey, Melanie, great to meet you.
Hello, Sean.
Talked enough on Twitter and the social work tech group on Google Plus. So I feel like I practically
to my living room. Yeah.
Welcome to my basement.
No, I didn't get to keep up very well with the Sword chat, but I have some Google alerts set up, and I kept getting little Google alert blasts regarding the grand challenges, and I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. The American Association of Social Work and Social Welfare, they hired a communications company to put out press releases and to try and notify folks who were involved in it that they should basically, feel free to garner as much publicity around this as possible. They also had something really nice at the conference, which they set up sort of photo lights, and they had a backdrop. And so you could walk by and you could get your picture taken with your own cell phone, but in really good lighting with a piece of paper that said, I'm up for the challenge, and then had the name of the grand challenge. So like harnessing technology for social good, which actually I thought was a really nice way of doing social media, because it meant that people were creating content with the hashtag and they looked good and they sent it out.
Yeah, that sounds cool. Are there any tips we could steal for APM?
Oh, I mean, yeah, it's kind of funny that there were some things that SWIR did that are steal worthy, but I actually really like that one about having some really good lighting and some signs, and it doesn't have to be a big production. But the tags, April asked about the tags. So the tags for the conference were SSWR 2016. That was the conference hashtag. Up for the challenge was what the marketing company came up with for the grand challenges. And then hashtag grand challenge was another one. So there were those three. Yes, April, up for the challenge, and then grand challenge. Those were the two. And then there was the conference tag. But for APM, if we did, if there was something that we were trying to draw attention to, maybe around the theme of the conference, we could make sure that there was not just the conference hashtag, but also another one that we could use, and then we could set up lights, and we could have pictures, and we could do all that sort of stuff. So I definitely think that would be nice to do. Okay, Sean, it's I was about to say that was last year's SSWR 2016. So, but one of the things that April and Suicide Prevention Social Media crew has done that the social work conferences have not done, because nobody has taken leadership, really, is having the kind of concentrated social media presence where you have people going out to as many sessions as possible, and where there are specific hashtags and conventions for tweeting out things, and then decisions on who's going to curate it with Storify and those sorts of things. Now, Melanie, I believe I'm pointing at you. Do you see me pointing at you?
I see it. It's right at me.
You're actually down here for me, but I don't know if that's true.
You're up here for me.
I'm up there. Okay. All right. So, but I think, aren't you in charge of social media for the next conference?
I'm the technology track co-chair. So there hasn't, like you said, been a strong social media presence. And I sort of volunteered us as track chairs to do something this year with social media. And I don't know what that will look like yet, but I'm hoping to round up some of the SW Tech people to help me figure it out.
Okay.
So we'll add some of those things to the list. And, since the call just came out, step one is just kind of trying to cheer people on to get submissions to the tech track, because the more people who submit, the more papers, sessions can be accepted, because they work on sort of that system by percentage.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Okay. Well, I mean, we can blast social media and get as many submissions. I mean, how many submissions do you want?
A lot. Well, I mean, the more we get, the more we can accept. And so, I mean,
like 100?
Yeah.
Give or take.
What a good social worker researcher you are. You're setting a goal.
Well, I mean, yeah, or a social worker. So I'm thinking maybe we can. I mean, we could hijack this conversation totally and just leave Sean sitting there. But I'm also okay talking more about the grand challenges, since that was the theme. And then Melanie, we can set up another blab. Maybe with some of your co-authors and some of the other folks from the tech community to talk specifically about what we're going to do for APM next year and maybe SWIR. And so April brings up a good point. So beer pong is not an official grand challenge, but it was considered. It was considered along with issues of foster care and some of the other, like ending poverty, some of the other things that never actually made it to the table, but not because it wasn't a reasonable and legitimate social goal. So thank you, April.
So I'm gonna what I was doing while you guys were talking, which was very good though, because I think we do need to kind of amp up social work and social media at conferences. But April asked a little bit ago about curation. There was an interesting curation I'll post it on the side here, done by I think it was the University of Houston.
Yep.
They used this. Yeah, they used Eventifier, which I had never seen before. So I thought that was interesting. It seemed very much like Storify, but also kind of categorized things a little differently. So it was kind of cool. They did they did it by most popular, and then they separated it out with video and pictures and blogs and podcasts. So it was cool. It was like Storify, but it categorized it right out, which was kind of neat.
Yeah, it was. It was really nice. I'd never seen that before.
Yeah, so that was a new one. So that was the only curation that I did. I was tempted to do Storify each day, but I had other stuff going on too, in addition to tweeting out the conference a lot. So, but I thought it was cool that they used that platform. So,
well, and I think one thing that didn't happen, because I didn't do this and I didn't ask anybody else to do this, although I did show Jane McPherson how to do it, is that we didn't storify day to day.
Right.
Hashtag grand challenge or hashtag up for the challenge. And so I don't know if we still can do that.
You probably can. You got 10 days. It archives back 10 days. So
yeah. Okay. So we still have a couple days.
We got time. Probably up for the challenge one would actually be, I would imagine would be a little bit more colorful, because I think that's where people did the pictures with the challenges that you were talking about, which was really cool. So April says do it. Yeah, we'll put it on the list.
When April says do it, I just like to do it.
It's got to be done.
It's got to be done.
Well, I think it was really nice that the Grand Challenges theme helped pull the social media piece together. I think maybe in a way better than just like the conference theme would have. And so as I'm thinking about how to gear up for APM, I wonder if there's something to pull together that would help support kind of a tech related theme or a social work related theme that would bring interest.
What I liked about it was that it kind of implied like action steps, which was kind of the whole idea. But usually, you go to a conference and there's like tracks. There's like, okay, you got your mental health track or your healthcare track or whatever you're doing within the specialization. What I liked about it was that it was not only a track, but it had each track had like a specific goal. Obviously, that was the Grand Challenge idea, but I think that could be mimicked with other conferences though too. I think that was kind of neat how that kind of played out. But my 2 cents.
Yep. Yeah. All right. So April has so much to say. April, why don't you join in?
Yeah, I'm gonna unlock the seat. Oh wait, let's see here. There she goes. Okay.
I'm finding myself distracted because I just want to hear what April has to say.
Because like
it's April.
I had to walk away from the TV because I was multitasking. Melanie, oh my God, you were so cool. So what kind? So you're the tech track. How big is the conference? What do you want? What do you want in the track?
All the things. Anything related to teaching with technology or interventions related to technology, or
I know all these people. I mean, so what conference? What's the submission stuff?
The announcement just came out for submissions for the annual program meeting for the Council Social Work Education.
So I'm not a social worker. I'm not that cool. So can you, in the constellation of social work conferences, where does this fit in? And if somebody gets a paper accepted here, how does that, what's the pipeline for that paper like other places? Because usually people who are submitting this stuff, want it to go places, right? So, if you present this on this conference, where does it go from there?
Well, we don't publish our proceedings at APM, but of course you can turn your conference into a presentation into a publication later. You don't really get a presentation published out of it.
The media thing, it's if people present there and you've got a little social media team, then anything that anyone presents is published immediately. A little pitch there.
Did you see that whole
For example,
Sean will be tweeting it out at home, so you'll be social media famous, but you're already social media famous. So I don't know if it does anything for you.
I can get you real people. I'm not a real person. I can get you real people. So you just people think in my mind, what makes it worth their while is finding out, trying to get to my spot and I think I'm gonna find a nut box and prop my computer on a nut. This is what I am doing. I'm making a setup right now. If you get just a few people who are doing social media who will broadcast, will Periscope or live tweet, and if the conference allows for these submissions for these papers to also live online or the posters so that you can tweet it out, and so being at the conference. And if you stage it right so that it just looks impressive, that matters a lot.
If we curate it right, yeah. And we did Periscope some sessions last year, and I don't think that they're savvy enough to have caught on to have an opinion about whether or not you can do it or not yet. So we've got that going for us.
You're the boss of the tech track. You just tell them to do it.
Okay.
Got it. You're so cute.
I think we can consider it a done deal. Actually, you should all submit sessions whether you want to go present or not, because the more that are submitted, the more we're allowed to accept. So even if you submit really terrible proposals, then we exponentially get to bump up the amount of presents that we get.
Be bad, be mediocre. We have a plan for you. I like this. I'm totally fine with it. I think there are, for the people who are interested in technology and mental health or technology and social work, there aren't good conferences that specifically focus on that. And not even really technology and mental health or technology and psychology. There isn't like a tech psych conference. There just really isn't, isn't that terrible? So there are people who legitimately are great at this, who cross professional silos on a regular basis, and they're like so sexy. And like, if they're great speakers, stop it, Sean. And
I'm just pointing at everybody in the room here.
There's a story of a lovely lady. And they're really great presenters. And so you have like T2 Health, like that works for VA, that has like their virtual Hope Box, for example, or they have their PSD coach or Breathe to Relax. You have all these, like you have Howard Rosen, who's, LifeWire, which is a private, a for-profit company that does technology, that does messaging to people in secure platforms that you can integrate. And I'm hoping to get to do a pilot project at VA with him, related to texting high-risk veterans, which is so cool. And they have really cool data about like reducing suicide reattempts by half, like reducing hospital readmission by like 34% and drug relapse by like 19%, like just the cost of $3 a person a week. And having it done in real life clinics with real life complicated patients, like great stuff. Like I think of people like Quantify. That's my husband getting ice for booze. Like ginger ale, because we've already had it's Louisiana, so we started having drinks early. But
I was about to say it's a little late to start drinking there.
It's to continue. It's after awake time.
Oh, it's 5 o'clock.
I think, but going back,
Quantify can do this. Like, who they really figured out that in a population of a few hundred people, like if even just 6 people would donate their social media data, like their Facebook data, you could probably predict the suicide risks, like in real time. And the linguists do not like that term, but like in real time, possibly, of that whole population, just by having the data sets for 6 people. I mean, all sorts of crazy good stuff. And they created a social media donation like site. Sorry, I'll stop, Sean.
No.
Jesus.
I think about it all the time, Melanie.
We need a talking stick.
I just hit you with it, Sean. You should not give me a blunt object.
I'm changing the subject for a minute, but I recently did a presentation out at Portland State, and I was talking about distance education, and one of the professors goes, but in an online classroom, how does somebody get mad and like throw their books down on the table and leave the room? And like, he's obviously never been in a blab with y'all because we can feel strongly about things here, right?
That's right. We can slam our microphones and
sorry,
Sean, go ahead.
I get everything that April was saying, but I don't know if everybody. I think that the difficulty is with technology and getting people on board with Twitter and things on conferences is trying to like have the conversation that we were having before about the value of doing it and investing the time in it and kind of demonstrating the value of putting the hashtag and baking the technology into your conference. I think that's
people who regularly do extraordinary things.
We know this stuff.
Tangible improvements in the human condition. If anybody could be irrational about intangible benefits, it should be social workers.
So it's an interesting quote. I think somebody should tweet that out.
So popular.
That's right.
Oh, come on.
Sunset background.
But I think the really nice point that April makes, though, is about the value of artifacts. And if the artifacts become more than like it's really cool to sort of have a Twitter hashtag or whatever and say I was here and here's a selfie, but it's a whole different thing to say like here's a resource that we go back to of a kind of a cutting edge technology presentation that was delivered out here at this conference, and they're part of what we're up to. That's something different.
And you can say, here is what we said, and here's what happened 2 years ago. Here's where we are today. Here is how engaged people were 2 years ago. And not only what your speaker had to say, but how, because also your audience sort of has a chance to comment, which is what's so brilliant about Twitter, is that Sean's not there, but Sean is providing commentary. So you are getting free, value-added, brilliant conversation donated to you for free by a non-attender, for which you have invested no resources.
Yeah, we don't invest anything in Sean. It's amazing what he does for us.
In us. Like, come on.
Yes.
Let Sean invest in you.
Exactly. Come on, Sean.
Tell me your conference hashtag. I have a problem. I have a conference hashtag problem. I will tweet it out.
Well,
Infomania.
I mean, you're going to spend more time thinking about the importance of having coffee at the break, which you're going to spend more money on just providing coffee at the break so people stay awake.
It's true. Yeah. Well, so I think, April, one of the things that you bring up that is really relevant for the CSWE conference is that there are actually a lot of social workers who are doing research with technology. And the first people we should be contacting are those people. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that became clear when I was doing my Grand Challenge presentation on integration and practice of technology, and I was listening to the other one around big data, was that there are a whole bunch of silos, whole bunch of folks who are doing research with technology, on technology, and they're not talking to each other. And so that's one of the first things that we need to do is we need to tap into our social networks and really find out, love it. We need to find out who is doing it and then encourage them to submit. For example, Ian Holloway, UCLA, he's doing amazing research with 3 different technologies and HIV, both positive and negative African-American men living in LA. He's doing something with an app. He's doing something with Facebook, and he's doing something with artificial intelligence on the back end. We need to get him to submit these to the technology track for APM. I mean, otherwise he's going to submit it to what, HIV? To,
and those people don't have a home. So like if you give them a tech-friendly home, they will show up, and they play a huge role in the future of the human services professions. And the first people who understand, recruit them to conferences, retain them by providing vehicles for distribution of their work. Those are going to be the ones that survive. Those are going to be the professional organizations that continue. And I mean that, like, Melanie, you know to have a good effing headshot. You're no dummy.
Mm-hmm. She's got a great headshot. Yeah.
And you know why you did that. And you did not do sort of crazy hair picture up against the concrete block wall outside your office with half of a newsletter taped to the wall by your head. Right? You did.
It's true.
You did not look like Mad Madam Mim. You did it right. Like someone should explain what they're going to get for free and how they're going to ensure the continuity of their discipline. Because what happens when robots launch social workers after the singularity?
Wait, April, I missed that. You got all garbled on my end. What happened? What?
When robots want social workers after the singularity, somebody should do something about artificial intelligence's singularity and being a social worker for robots. That would be the coolest speculative session ever.
I think that would be great.
I am a robot.
I did sort of this speculative thing for BPD last year where we talked about like, okay, so CPS,
Baccalaureate Program Directors meeting is what that is.
So if CPS can now return your kids early as long as you have like constant home monitoring in your house and video cameras everywhere and they can like zoom in and watch you at any time, then or have like the shaken baby monitor strapped to your kids so they get like paged immediately if there are risk factors popping up. But
that is an awesome idea.
But really at this conference we mostly get people talking about like, well, how do I teach online, and that sucks up most of our distance. So I like the idea of doing some direct outreach to some folks that are actually using tech related interventions, and we'll put that on the to-do list.
Dude, you should have a session that's just 20th wackiest speculative tech ideas that could work, and then you could be like, what if if you get a chip implanted and then we know if your kid gets shaken, or if you really are legitimately being bullied and harassed, it'll be on camera. And so what could we do if bullies can no longer screw with the kid in private? Like what would that mean? Like, which could be cool or could not be cool. And I'm thinking like, these are interesting ideas.
Totally agree.
Things I would show up at a conference for or tune in on the social medias for. Because I did not know this conference existed. I'm here because Sean and Zing are super collaborators, like literally, like they're super influencers and super collaborators. So if they're interested, I'm interested.
And in the SPSM community, Melanie, I'm Zing. So
Yes.
They don't know who
Zinger.
you are. They know who you are.
No, Melanie doesn't. She calls me by my the name that my family calls me. I don't even know how that got started.
What? Like if she doesn't call you Jonathan Bentley, you punch her?
No,
So your family calls you John the God too?
No, no, Jana. Yeah, that's what my family calls me, Jana. But yeah.
So around here we call you, oh, you're listening to Jonathan. That's what I call you. You're listening to Jonathan.
I feel like
I don't know if I went to kiss or smack your husband. I don't know.
I feel like we're slowly trickling into unrecord zone.
That's very funny.
Well, how do you want to be in unrecord zone? Because I can see you there.
Yeah. Oh, you're always there. No, I'm just kidding.
No, it's true, Melanie. Like you're here because you were a legit professional.
I feel like I'm a few drinks behind.
Sadly, I'm the sober one today. I had to drive the car and get the gas and make sure we had the mail.
Wow.
So I guess before I unrecord, what's the next social work conference we have to look forward to that maybe we can start to amp up?
Well, so sorry, Melanie, go ahead.
The Distance Conference is in April. The big social work Distance Ed Conference in Indianapolis, April. Do we know when that is?
Yeah,
If I did a quick.
Well, okay, so there's the Distance Ed Conference, and that's at IU. This summer, National Association of Social Workers is having their every other year practitioners conference, which sadly I am not going to be available for because I have to go to Rome to teach.
Oh my God.
And then
I'm gonna tweet it then.
Well, I don't know. I don't know who's going to be there.
Last year, and I love the NASW. They're like my heroes.
Isn't that great? I know all the Brenes and the Robert Reiches and the Steve Pemberton.
Seriously, who are we supposed to follow?
I don't know. Are you going to be there, Melanie? No.
Are you going to be in like Paris?
I should be, huh? The BPD is in March in Texas, and I'm going to that. I'm going to Indianapolis Distance, and then Minneapolis, I'm going to National Indian Child Welfare Association. That's kind of butts up right against BPD. So, and of course, the North Dakota Indian Child Welfare Conference is in Mandan, North Dakota. I expect to see you all there.
Dude, I almost moved to South Dakota to work with Indian Health Services. This close.
That close.
Oh, it looked beautiful.
We would have been neighbors. Can you imagine the trouble?
No.
I don't know you well enough, but I want to now.
Oh my God, what I wouldn't give to go out with Melanie and April at a conference. That would be totes amazeballs.
Totally periscope that shizzle.
Totally for shizzle. Periscope izzle that.
Like, I don't know. You would keep your license.
Yeah. Because Doc Foreman's licensed. So everything's got to be, no threat to the community.
Try to
kind
keep
of
it on the up and up.
Mhm.
But no, so you guys need to seriously. I won't know who to follow without you guys.
Oh,
We'll figure it out. We'll let you
figure
know.
it out. We'll let you know.
Yeah, that's my line, Sean. Okay.
I'm gonna repeat everything that
Ever
you
help
said.
talk your conference into more social media coverage without frightening them? If I'm ever helpful and not helpful, let me know, because I truthfully work with many wonderful social workers who absolutely change the lives of the people that I take care of. They're really important to me, and so of course I want their conferences to have good media. And often social workers are willing to do things before other people in the health services, the human services professions. They just are.
That's really nice, April. We thank you for that acknowledgement. Yeah. So, Sean, I know that you've got your finger on the unrecord button. You're desperately wanting to stop recording this.
No, I will. It's just reach an hour, and if somebody's going to listen to this, they're probably not going to go any longer than that. All right. Well, I'm going to unrecord then. Good night, everybody.
Wait. Before you do that,
afternoon.
is there anything else that you wanted to have us say about the Grand Challenges or Social Work Research Conference that you had on your mental agenda?
No, I don't think so. I don't know where my mental agenda
I love it, like the gay agenda, the mental agenda.
Yeah.
went
Do you
out.
have a gay agenda, Sean?
As soon as April started talking, whatever I had in my agenda. No, I'm just kidding. No, I don't know. No, I think that's about it. We covered a lot.
All right.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you to
Stop
anybody
recording.
who watched this.
Boom. It's good talking to you guys.